Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti. So, brothers and sisters, we just wave of hand to welcome the three panelists here, and also those in Zoom. Those in Zoom everybody can hear from Zoom? Okay, brothers and sisters, I think this evening we are very fortunate to have three very experienced and also...
Keep so close, mic close.
Yeah. Very experienced speakers on the topic. I think all of us know that yesterday we celebrated Dadi Jankis' 4th anniversary, Ascension Day. So Dadi left us back in 2020. So I think in Madhuban there are so many programs, even there are book messages for Dadi. So this evening in ERC we are fortunate, we have the Chinese team here. Maybe those in the Zoom, they are not aware we're having a Chinese retreat for all the Chinese Brahmins here. And also, so in the midst of the Chinese Brahmins, we have three very experienced panelists here. We are only given 1 hour, so we have to extract the maximum from the three panelists. First and foremost, brothers and sisters, I would like to give a little bit introduction of the three panelists. In the middle, I think all of you in the Zoom, hope you can see very well. Didi Meera is here. So Didi Meera is actually very sort of very active in ERC especially, and also Didi Meera is also the honorary member for the Brahma Kumaris Foundation. And also I think the good news for all of us, maybe some of you are not aware, so Didi Meera is one of the panel, one of panel in the team of the RC team, the Miss Regional Coordinated Team for the Asian Pacific. So probably we just put our hands together to congratulate Meera Didi. Okay, and on my right is Gopi here. I think most of you are very well-versed, or probably we are very sort of seen Gopi many times in programs in UK, in Madhuban. A little bit about Gopi. I think one speciality of Gopi into this topic, the encounter with Dadi Jankis, is Gopi is spiritually mentored by Dadi Jankis. I think probably she can elaborate more later. And also Gopi is very much running a lot of seminars, workshops throughout the world, and also a speaker of many international programs, not to list, probably we don't have much time to list all the international programs. But one thing that I remember Gopi very much involved in overseeing the International Youth Forum for the BKs back in the early days. And also when people ask me, where is Gopi from? Just like Dadi, Gopi is in Madhuban and also East and West. So you see Gopi in Madhuban, you also see Gopi in UK. And on my left, brothers and sisters, is Margaret. Margaret all the way from Madhuban is joining us this evening here. And Margaret, about 30 years in Baba's knowledge, and I think her field of experiences very much on the field of transformation thinking and personal practice. And also I think she has a lot of training in adult education and training. Also, I think she has a lot of Lokik experience as empowered living consultant as such. Okay, brothers and sisters, this evening we want to extract the maximum from the three speakers. We are not going to give the same questions. Each speaker will be given a different questions so that we can cover as many experiences with Dadi. Okay? Is it okay? So in this short hour, in just 1 hour. So maybe we start with Didi Meera here. So the question for Didi Meera is, probably Didi Meera can share one special quality. One special quality, it can be powers, it can be virtues that you see in Dadi Jankis.
Om Shanti. Om Shanti. Welcome to this special sharing session. So like Dadi Janki, it's very difficult to pin down one special virtue. She is all virtuous. But anyway, the thing that comes to my mind when I think of Dadi Janki is big heart, very big heart. Always giving. That's the thing that comes to my mind. Very big heart. All the time giving. Yes? If you're buying? What else you want me to say?
I think that's it. Maybe we come in the second round. Come back to you, Meera Didi. Okay, maybe next questions to Gopi. I think one thing, personally for me, is when I listen to Dadi sharing her classes in Madhuban, she's very spontaneous in talking about love, especially love for both Bap and Dada. So the question to Gopi is, probably you can describe maybe incidents or experiences that you have with Dadi where she has so much intense love, not only for Baba himself and also for the family as well. Any occasion that you come across, she has so much of love.
I think the whole of Brahmin life is an exercise of love, unconditional love. And I remember saying to Dadi one day, Dadi, I love you. And Dadi looked at me and she said, Baba loves you. So Dadi had this, I think because she was so connected to Baba, she could almost feel what souls needed. And I remember on a trip one time with her, and we had to get to the airport, right? We were really pushing it, the time was getting close, and okay, she's a business class passenger, but still. And then, as we were leaving the program, she wanted to go to hospital to meet a patient, and that would mean 20 minutes out of our journey. So all of us logical thinkers are saying, no, we have a plane to catch, no hospital visit for you, Daddy, we can't, maybe another time. Daddy said, no, we're going to the hospital. We went to the hospital, it was Thursday that day, and she gave that brother nectar in his mouth, because that's why she wanted to go. And I remember we were arguing with her in the car, and she said, no, the plane will wait. And I'm thinking, Daddy, how can the plane wait for you? Anyway, so we arrive at the hospital, she feeds the brother nectar, we leave the hospital, and lo and behold, the plane is 2 hours late. So we arrive in plenty of time at the airport. And I think this is just a tiny example of her willingness to go out of her way. And especially for old Brahmins. This brother had given a lot to Baba in the early days. And she valued so much the contribution that the older Brahmins had made to the yajna. And so she would not look at her time and her energy and the plane and whatever. If she felt a soul needed Baba's love, that was it. And because I think of that incredible benevolence, the drama cooperated with her. Drama was her best friend, because Baba often says drama is kalyankari, right? Beneficial. And because her intentions and her motivations were always to bring benefit. And I think that's one of the manifestations of real spiritual love, is that you seek to bring benefit.
Okay, the next question is to Margaret. Probably Margaret, you have met Dadi almost for 30 years as a Brahmin life, So the question to Margaret is, maybe Margaret can relate one special experience or special encounter with Dadi. It can be Rishti, it can be her blessings, it can be a class, it can be anything. One special encounter that totally changes or a big turning point in your spiritual life.
To be honest, there was a few, but the one that jumps into my mind was I had gone to Global Retreat Centre for a talk, and so I was the only one there as well as the residents, and Dadi was arriving, and we all gathered in the foyer, and I think I had some kind of issue going on. And she comes in, she looks directly at me and she says, haven't you stopped thinking yet? And that has helped me so much, you know. Like she's so, it's a bit like Sister Meera Didi was saying that, you know, Daddy has a right over you. And I think that's the feeling that she could say exactly, and you weren't offended. But there's also another little story that was really touching about her connection with God, because there was a time when I was not in London. I was living outside of London, and for a period of that time, for about 1.5 years, I lived in my family home. And I came to Madhaban one time during that time, and she said to me, "Do you think your parents would like a gift?" And I said, "Well, I know they're not too, you know, they were a bit anti in a way." So I said, "Well, I don't know really." And she said to Hansa, bring the bag. And she put her hand in the bag and she pulled out a ceramic swan and she said, "That's for your mum. The only thing my mum collects is ceramic swans." So it was just so stunning, and that ceramic swan is still in my parents' house. And then she puts her hand in the bag and she brings out this rose, long rose, and it's solid, but it's sort of got liquid in that will move. And it had a little tag on it saying, "I love you." And she said, "This is for your dad." And I thought, that's the last thing my dad would want. But it was so interesting, you know, because when I went and I said, "This has come from India and it's from Dadi Janki for you." And I don't know if he knew that was. He held that rose for about 2 hours, and then he put it on the mantelpiece, and it was there for months. So I think it's this amazing connection she has with God, but also somehow matter as well, and time, that she just sort of, I don't know, it's almost like she's in a parallel universe in a way, and it just, whatever is appropriate happens.
Thank you, Margaret. So the next question to Meera Didi. I think two titles that most of us probably will never disagree about Dadi. One is definitely Dadi is a world emperor, world benefactor. I think within 52 years, ever since foreign service started in 71, almost 52, 53 years, and service has started over 100 over countries throughout the world. So the question to Didi Meera is, probably what qualities you see in Didi that she's able to expand service so much throughout the world, and what sort of method she used to empower the instruments so much so that service expand to over 100 over countries in the world?
No, I remember when Dadi went to London, 1973, she did not speak English, one single word. No English. And the center in London was the beginning. And Dadi never gave class, never gave lecture. And all that she was doing was cooking. Cooking food, cooking books, serving people, whoever comes with lots of love. People could not identify who she was. You know, here in India, she is the head of an organization. And now she has gone to foreign countries. People could not identify her. But she continued that service of serving. That sustenance, you know, the sustenance of love. Souls who received at that time, they became instrument to serve the world. I remember the 3-4 instruments who came to Gyan in London was Charlie Boy, Simon Boy, a few others who became instrument to open centers in Australia, Africa, and many other places. It's not knowledge that you speak. Serve souls. It is the love, the sustenance of love that is being given makes souls touched. I remember Janki Ben used to get invitation to speak in different associations. Dadi said, I am going to go with you. So Dadi will travel by train because that time London don't have any car. So Janki Ben will travel by train, Dadi will follow her. So Dadi will say, you speak, I will give you might. Sakash. So she will sit next to her and quietly gives the Sakash, the power. So it created such wonderful atmosphere that people start to get more and more invitations. Because I remember visiting London in 1977 before I went to Caribbean. That time was only a small place. Dadi used to sleep on the floor, no bed, very cold, but no complaint. That tyag, renunciation, tapasya, actually has done that wonderful service, and I think Dadi's feeling, because I remember one experience, when once in Karachi, Baba was conducting meditation and Dadi went into trance taking drishti from Baba, and then she did not realize that it was Brahma Baba who was sitting, but she thought that she had holding the globe of the world in her hand and going around the world. So almost she lifted Baba in her hand like that. So that time she had the vision of the globe of the world that, in her trance stage. So Dadi had that vision always unlimited. She never ever had that limited vision. I am in charge of Pune. Like for example, when she was in India, she was in Pune, small center. But she used to have the intoxication, unlimited intoxication. I am world server, world benefactor. So that unlimited attitude created closeness to souls. And so much of kindness, mercy. I remember people, when she will visit a new country, a new place, people will say, Dadi, you are so kind. You are so kind to us. Actually, they have not met her before. First time. But the vision she used to have for all the souls already reached them before she arrives there. And they felt like Dadi has lot of love for them, kindness. So the centers in foreign countries, open on the basis of the sustenance souls received from Dadi in the initial stage in London. Later on, service began. So it was Dadi's unlimited vision, unlimited attitude, benevolent attitude, love for humanity, that everyone should receive the message. That made it happen, actually.
Yeah, thank you, Meera. I think the next question actually is a very important sort of a matter that we Brahmins always, normally when we see the Brahmins are sick and not able to do service, because of the body and not feeling too well, we always refer back to look at Dadi. Dadi is such a sample and example that even she's old, she's sickly, and she do immense service. And sometimes we always label Dadi in the early days, she's a Delta woman, the most stable mind in the world. So now the question is posed to Gopi. You see, Dadi is sick. We know very well that her 80 over years journey in this spiritual life. And the question is how she managed to conquer illnesses of the body. And in other words, how she managed to conquer matter for that matter, and yet she still can do so much of service.
One of the things that I often observed Dadi do is take minutes of silence and become bodiless. She would do this regularly. She would do this before she met people. People would come to her. Before she meets, 1 minute silence, becomes bodiless, gives drishti, then starts talking. Then when that person leaves, in between, sometimes there's a big queue. Then she would ask for an orange. She could see she wanted to peel the orange, and she was letting herself become bodiless. And in that period, you could feel Baba was with her. So she was very sincere in her practice of silence, accumulating the power of silence. And she had certain thought processes that she didn't entertain. And I learned about this when my body wasn't sick, when my body was not so well. There was a period in Madhuban when I was really quite sick, and when I started recovering and then I went to her to take leave, she said to me, now you're learning how to take support of your body in service. It just takes a thought. She says, when the thought comes, the body will start to move. Then you know it's the right thought because the body automatically starts to move. And I started to realize where she was at. She didn't think about things. For her, Baba was responsible for service. Whatever was fixed was happening in the drama. But her body would only respond when that thought came. So, for example, when she would be sitting in front of a class, right, in the mornings, and, we were waiting, the music is playing, and we're waiting for her to give class. Sometimes she would just go into silence, 5-10 minutes, she wouldn't say anything. There was nothing coming. The moment something came, then she opened her mouth. So she was very, very loyal to Baba and drama in that sense. And, one more thing I remember when in the early days of the retreat center, it was one of the first retreat centers in the Yagya, Oxford, before Gyan Sarovar, before all the others. And we didn't have a manual to follow. And retreats were Friday to Sunday, Tuesday to Thursday, and everybody did everything. And I remember one day I had half an hour between breakfast and preparation for lunch, and I was not feeling well at all. And I thought, let me just go to my room to lie down. But I have to pass Dadi's room before I go to my bedroom. So when I opened the corridor, I thought, let me walk fast, then she won't see me. But she saw me. She said, Gopi, come. And I went in, and she was talking to a group of Sindhi ladies. And she just had me sit here. And I thought, why I've only got half an hour. I want to go and lie down. And then she said, okay, go get Toli, go get blessing. Then the ladies finish, they disappear. Then she looks at me. Are you okay? I said, no, Daddy, I have a headache. I was going to bed. And Daddy said, yes, Daddy caught the vibration that something is not right. That's why Daddy called you. And you know why Daddy kept you here? Because you learned this secret, never go to bed with a heavy head. Daddy called you back to make your head light, now you can go to bed. So she had practices, very practical practices, that she looked after herself. At night, she never went to sleep without saying good night to Baba. Never. Even if we're in Madhuban and she's up till 11, she'll take someone's hand, walk to Baba's room, say good night, download everything, empty her brain, and then go to sleep. So I think because of these practices of keeping the mind light, matter cooperated with her.
I just like to share a couple of experiences I have had with Dadi, especially how she became the conqueror of matter. In the days of Karachi, Dadi shared this experience with us. You know, Dadi used to be the sick person in the yagya. She used to have all kinds of sickness. You can name them. Dadi has that sickness. But she was given the responsibility of being a nurse, look after patients. So once what happened was that, you know, Dadi was very, very sick. And there were many others who were sick also in one room. Sakar Baba came, Brahma Baba, to visit all the patients. Listen carefully. So Baba went to all the patients, inquiring their welfare. Then Baba never asked Dadi Janki, he went off. If you were Dadi Janki, how you would have felt? Dadi never felt sad. She was even more happier. Why? Because Baba knew that she is enough mature to take care of herself. So next day, Baba invited her to have lunch with her and gave all the love. Another story recently in Diamond Hall, just a few years before, you know, Dadi was supposed to give class for teachers in the Diamond Hall, 2,000 teachers. They are all waiting for Dadi. It's about 11:15, 12 o'clock, she has to go to the class. She gets a lot of pain in her heart, severe pain. She did not tell Hansa. She did not tell anybody. What she did, this is what is Conqueror of Matter. She just went and lie down in her bed for 5 minutes. She did some magic on her heart. And then before 12 o'clock, she got up, got ready, went into the class. And in the class, she shared her experience. This is what happened to me today. Power of silence heals. So Dadi, you know, why do they celebrate Dadi's birthday on the 1st January, do you know? Dadi had double pneumonia, you know, in December month. She was taken to Ahmedabad. She was almost pronounced to be dead. But when she was in Ahmedabad, here Baba was speaking the Murli. Dadi was listening to the Murli. She got a new life. She became totally awake and alive. So, when Baba finished the Murli, on the 1st of January, they celebrated her birthday. That is how Dadi's birthday is 1st January. New life.
And that's why she would always say, Murli is her medicine.
Yeah. Baba's Murli made her become alive. She was almost dead. Doctors have given up. But Murli made her become alive. So Dadi used to say jokingly, Baba is very smart, you know. When he wants to use you, he gives you all the strength. And after the seva is over, he'll leave you to settle your account. So we used to have lots of fun with Dadi like that. So we take inspiration we never ever give excuse of having physical sickness or pain and Miss Amrutvela, Miss Murli. If Dadi don't do that, why, how can I do? You know, so Dadi is a source of inspiration for that.
Okay, thank you, Meera, Didi, the wonderful experience. And then next, maybe to Mary. So, Margaret. Margaret, probably you originated from the West. No, Dadi was in London. As we know that Dadi doesn't know much English. When she went over to London. And then, bearing in mind that she doesn't know much English and she has to face different customs and systems. And the question is, how Dadi managed to overcome these barriers of language, custom, and system, and yet service expanded so much?
From my experience and what I've heard from others as well, that a lot of the way that Dadi taught was through signals. And I can only share from my own experience that I think Dadi taught me a lot about detachment. So if I was getting a bit too close to her, you know, wanting anything, then when she would give the toli, she would go like that. And I think many have this experience, right? But if I was becoming more independent and I was really well connected with God, it was almost like she would wink. So I think a lot of us learned, there was a different language that was going on. But I think even if you wrote to Dadi and you made the print big, she could understand quite a lot. I think she understood much more than she let on. But I think she could understand, but if you became too complicated, then she would ask for translation. But she could understand quite a lot, but mostly I think she used her vibrations a lot, and I think in a way that's what people picked up from Dadi. I remember in the early days of GRC, we would have retreats for healthcare professionals, maybe 2 a year, and Dadi would always want to come. And, you know, we would work quite hard, put him through workshops and everything. And then Dadi would just walk in, stand there, the whole atmosphere in the room would change, and they would always write on their feedback form, Dadi Janki, the cherry on the cake. And, you know, we suddenly thought, why don't we just get her at the beginning, because the work would be done. But it was a lot through vibrations and signals, but she did understand quite a lot of English.
Yeah. You see, Margaret just shared how Dadi able to conquer sort of attachment, souls having to her, coming near to her, too much close to her. Like she was sharing a very humorous Dadi giving Tori without giving Drishti. I mean, indirectly hinting. Probably the other thing maybe Gopi can share is how does Dadi sending out signals or lessons to others to conquer ego? Probably Dadi could have encountered souls who probably have the vice of ego in them or too possessive in whatever they are doing. Can you release some examples? Didi helps others to conquer ego within themselves.
You know, I had been involved in a very big service project in the Yagya, and it meant working with some big people, and I was having difficulty with them. And I remember going to Dadi and saying to Dadi, how do I handle this person? And Dadi gave me one piece of advice that I remember till today. She said, big egos need respect. And I realized when I started to change my interaction and respect that soul, respect what they said, respected what their contribution was, the attitude started to shift. And I realized you can't make someone become egoless. You can only flush in the quality they need, which is respect. and eventually they let go of their ego. And I think, I remember this same individual had written me a letter of criticism and defamation. They'd sent an email, oh, you made this mistake, you did this, you spoke like this, And I remember printing off this half-page email and not knowing how to respond to this. As I'm not going to prove myself in every point. So I thought for a moment, Baba, what do I do with this? And then I remembered Dadi. So I printed off the email and I walked to Dadi's room. And I said to her, Dadi, look, this person has written this to me. They're not happy with me. They think I have a big ego, which I'm sure I do. But, all this, I don't know how to respond to this. And Dadi it was in English, Dadi took the email. I sat down and she's reading it very carefully. Took her 5 minutes to read it. And I'm sitting there on the floor mentally preparing myself. Because I'm thinking, okay, you've shown her the letter, now be prepared for correction. She's going to tell you off, And so I'm preparing myself mentally. After 5 minutes, she puts her glasses down, she looks at me, she waves the email, and she says, if you keep all this in your mind, then what Baba has given you is not reaching that soul. And in 1 second, she just repositioned my intellect away from self-consciousness, the ego of your defects and, wrong things, to actually, I'm an instrument. No matter what I have to face, no matter what comes to me, even if it's a product of my ego, I have to keep the line open with Baba. I can't hold anything in my chit and awareness. Otherwise, the attainments that I get from Baba are not reaching those souls. And that's why they constantly continue to complain about you. Yeah? A complaint is just somebody saying, I'm not getting the benefit of your relationship with Baba.
I remember one incident that he was sharing, why people respect Dadis. Even very educated people like Jagdish Bhai, Ramesh Bhai, Nirvair Bhai, so well read, well educated, but they bow down in front of them, in front of Dadis. It's not because of knowledge, it's dharana. So you cannot compete someone with dharana, So when the easiest way to conquer a person who has ego is to lead a practical life of dharana. So when they see you in that practical inculcation, which they don't have, you don't need to speak, you live the life, they will bow down to you. So that is what is very important. That is what Dadis did. Dadis never argue, never prove, never try to justify, but just be.
And never confront.
Yeah. So even give respect to them, more respect to them, even though they were the head, they were also only the student, but still they respected them so much that then they realized the value of Dadis. Yeah.
Okay, the next question to Didi Meera as well. We always say that Baba belongs to everyone, correct? Whether the young, old, Brahmins, new, even the IPs, even those who seen Dadi for the first time. So the question to Didi Meera is, we all of us, I think, practically feel that Dadi belongs to them. So the question now is, what special attraction or quality that Dadi has that everyone who sees her feel that she belongs to them?
It's the unlimited attitude, accepting everyone as they are. So that is the feeling of belonging others get from them. So the proof of having the feeling of belonging is my Dadi. Just like we feel the belonging to Baba and we say Meera Baba. So the same word go to Dadis also. So my Dadi, Dadi belongs to me. The feeling of closeness, because one thing is they are soul conscious and they see only the soul. So accept soul as they are. So that acceptance actually makes them feel they belong. So Dadis don't look at the color, the country, the age or whatever connected with the body, they look at the soul, just like Baba does. So that is why when we go in front of Baba, you feel Baba is mine. So the same feeling we get when we go in front of Dadis. For that moment, whether it is 1 minute, half a second, they give you such feeling. Dadi is for me only, my Dadi. And that feeling actually is a great sustenance that make us move along in this Brahmin life for a long, long period of time. And that is what Baba teaches us to practice too. That anyone who looks at you, we are all ancestor souls in one way or the other. Not only Dadis are ancestors, we are also ancestor souls. So when we look at other souls in the world, they should feel that you are an ancestor soul for them. So with that ancestor soul consciousness, you can really give the feeling of belongingness. So that is my experience.
Okay, next question to Margaret is on the topic on self-respect. You see, probably you can relate some experiences how Dadi, whoever comes in front of Dadi, or probably in a group meeting, Dadi able to raise the self-respect of others, increase the self-respect of others. In what way you probably observe, other than classes or blessings or some words? So what do you observe in Dadi's special quality, able to raise self-respect of anyone that comes in front of her?
I think Dadi Janki had genuine love for humanity. And it didn't matter if they were, of course, a Brahmin who had recognized God. She had so much value in that. The fact that they recognize Baba, she put that as highly important, and she would do anything to keep a Brahmin close. I remember one time actually we had, we organised this little event. It was for the London family. And, it was like a performance. We had 2 stage and performances was going on and everything. And Dadi Jankis had been out on service. Anyway, she came back and we had the seminar and we had curtains up. We had little snacks going. I mean, it was quite a scene. And she came in and everyone stopped and we thought, oh no, she's going to tell us off. And she said, whose idea was this? And a few of us put their hand. She said, anyone who keeps a Brahmin close to the family is so loved by God. And there was a feeling that she knew that there was maybe some souls who were a little bit on the periphery, and an event like that would pull them in. And I think she had so much respect for everyone that they picked that up when they went in front of her. But she knew souls that maybe needed more encouragement, and there were certain souls that she would always kind of, in the midst of the class, she would encourage them. especially some of the ones in elderly bodies, she would always mention their names. Oh, you're not sitting in your right chair. You know, she had this way of keeping souls close and giving them respect. But even for souls who she didn't even know, there was one time when one of my sister's sons got into some trouble, and I went and told her, and she said, "Why are you still here?" And she said, "Go get ready and come to me before you go." And she gave me this big basket of fruit. It was like so massive, and I was going by train. I thought, how am I going to get on the train with this big basket of fruit? But when I got there and I said, you know, to my sister, you know, Dadi Jankis sent that, it uplifted her. So she had respect for people that she knew, but also for all souls. It was like, that's the unlimitedness of Dadi Janki. She saw the soul. She saw every soul as God's child. And that's when there was public programs, you know, when she would give drishti to the whole gathering, it's with such respect for everyone. And of course they would pick that up. So, yeah, that's my thought about her.
And Dadi also actually respected those souls who became instrument, you know, to open center, start service in a new country, even though they did not follow Baba's principle, but they took the initiative to spread the message. Like I remember Luciana, you know, she became instrument to start service in Brazil, and because their parents were quite famous in the country, because of them, they could get into service very easily. So Dadi would remember her parents more than her. Every time she will see Luciana, she say, "How are your parents? Please give this to your parents. Give this toli, give this gift." Not only them, in any country, in anywhere, whoever has become the foundation for the yajna, Dadi has a lot of respect. But one thing, Dadi's speciality, even though she knows the speciality of that soul, she won't get carried away. Like for example, today she has an appointment with the President of India. So we get so carried away. From morning we are excited. Oh, today I'm going to meet the President of India, as if we are nothing, he is everything. But Dadi will respect that person and give due respect according to the position, but she never let go of her own seat of self-respect. And that is why that soul get impressed by Baba. You understand? Many times we get impressed by people and they never get impressed by Baba. So this is Dadi's speciality. She never let go of her own self-respect while respecting other people so that they can be connected with God. No, that was Dadi's speciality.
Yeah. Okay, maybe the other question to Gopi. I think we don't have much time. You see, I think even in Madhuban this time, what happened in our meetings, our sharing of service news, now they were saying that in the BK world there are many youths, many young Brahmins. So the question probably Gopi can share is, what do you observe in Dadi that he's able to empower the young ones, especially the youths? So what method that probably Dadi used, or Dadi have talked to them, or Dadi have empowered the youth leaders like you probably to empower the other youths and the young BKs?
I think one of the things I observed with Dadi was that if somebody had an idea she would support that. But the litmus test was she would check their stage. Yeah? Because it wasn't about the idea and the service, it was about that person's stage. And what I used to feel from her, she would transfer a lot of faith to us. Sometimes she would throw me in service areas and she would say, go, Baba will touch your intellect. And I had no idea what to do, how to do it. But because she had faith in me and she could see something in my part, that allowed me to stay courageous on the field. Now, when Pure Bai, you were there in the beginning of the youth forum, you remember that. And that was the time when Dadi first learnt, because in the yagya before that, there would be Kumars and Kumaris retreats, separate the youth would be. That was the first time we had combined young girls, young boys retreat. And I had come to Madhaban for a break because it had been an intense time. And the day I arrived in Madhaban, she said, go and find out what's happening there. And it was from that point that my journey with the young people started. But what I saw is she had this feeling that they should understand what the yagya is. Because for a young person, it's they can easily get it caught up into, oh, I want to use my skill in service, I want to use my talent in service. But the one thing she would encourage is deep bhavna for Baba's yagya. And that's why she used to give us a lot of time. Tell us stories of Baba, invest, listen, guide. And she was very, very open-minded. You know, we did things that sometimes I look back and I think, how is that possible? Because she never said no. Never said no.
So probably we just have one last question to all of you, because time is catching up. Probably the question to Margaret is, maybe you can recall one lesson that you learned from Dadi that you will carry on in this Brahmin life right to the very end. Any special lesson that you learned or any special wisdom you learned from Dadi?
You know, I think that Dadi was such a foundation in my early years and the codes of conduct, and I think they're still with me, and I feel the fortune of that, to have been given the codes of conduct by someone who really believed in them and followed them and knew that when you follow them, you know, you become closer to Baba. So, you know, Dadi always used to say that cleanliness is next to godliness. And not only cleanliness of your place, simplicity and cleanliness. Like when you went into Dadi's room, what was there? Nothing, a bed. Don't think she even had a clock. I mean, it was minimalist. But you could feel the power in that room, and it was almost like she was teaching, the more things you have, the more it takes energy. You know, so these lessons that she taught are still with me, you know, that keep things simple, keep things clean, orderly. That's one thing. But Dadi also, she could be strict, but she had a real sense of humour too. And I mean, what we used to do in London, we used to have these plays. They first started with pantos, and then we did plays, and it was almost like Dadi was in the front seat. She couldn't wait for, you know, the night that it was our turn, you know, the BK turn, and she regularly would come and see what was going on. And, you know, sometimes because we had makeup on and wigs, and she would come on the stage at the end, and she would not know who was behind the costumes. And when we took the thing on, she goes, "Acha?" You know, that we had kind of played these parts, you know. She just enjoyed everything in life, really, but with a kind of discipline and appropriateness. You know, it's almost like she was soul conscious, she was God conscious, and that allowed her to do anything, really. Yeah, something like that.
Thank you. Probably Meera, Didi, can you share one wisdom or one special experience with Dadi? You carry on now till the end?
One of the teachings Dadi used to give for teachers, she was expert in creating the fortune of others without begging. Because Baba has taught us it is better to die than to beg. But at the same time, a good teacher will definitely create the fortune of others, inspire them to sow seed in the yajna. So that was Dadi. She was the one who will create the fortune of others without asking them to give anything for the yajna. And of course, Dadi, always used to say, people used to interview Dadi. I remember, Dadi, you are 90 years old. What is your secret of not looking old, even though being old, So, what Dadi used to say? Dadi says, I don't think waste, I don't, waste any of my energy. That is my secret of being young. And this is what Dadi always used to tell us also. You need to allow Baba to use you. That's what Dadi says. I never use my energy. I keep my energy in stock. I invoke Baba. He got lot of energy. Let him use. And then of course, when Baba uses his energy, it will be success, the service. So there are few slogans I always remember when I think of Dadi. The first slogan is, Himmat de bache, Madad de Baap. Courage of the child, help from Baba. The second slogan, Sachi Dil Par Sahib Razi. Lord is pleased with an honest heart. Then the third slogan, Dadi always said, Saaf Dil to Murad Hasil. If your heart is clean, all your desires will be fulfilled. But the last moment, the last year, Dadi's slogan changed. She used to say 3 words, Sachai, Safai and Sadgi. Truth, honesty and simplicity. So these were the words Dadi kept telling before she became a being. So let us remember these slogans and reflect them in our life so that people can understand where we have come from.
Yeah, thank you, Meera Didi. And lastly, to Gopi. Gopi, we have one extra question for you. One is, the question that we asked to both the panelists is, what wisdom you pick up from Dadi, till the very end. And the second question is, we heard that when Dadi left the body, you were in Madhuban. And then that was during the COVID time. So probably you can share the last moment with Dadi when she left her body in Madhuban.
I remember the night before we were going to bed, I was staying in Pandav Bhavan near the Tower of Peace in Indraprasth. And the night before, it looked like there was a storm brewing. It was strong winds. And I must have gone to sleep around 11. And then I get a knock at my door at 2 o'clock to say, they got a phone call from the hospital, Dadi had just flown. And immediately I knew, we packed something quickly, went to the hospital, and it was just Hansaben, Dr. Sachin, and then myself and Sister Urvashi had just come. And Dadi looked like she was sleeping. I just thought, she's going to wake up any moment, but gone. And, the events that unfolded after she passed away, were phenomenal because it was 1 week after lockdown. So the rules in lockdown were that only 40 people could attend the funeral. And the local government official of Mount Abu, he was telling us, don't take Dadi Janki down the mountain. No, there's too many people in Shantivan. You do the funeral here. But Hansaben was insisting, no, she will be cremated downstairs. So after a lot of negotiation, the SDM, the government official, gave us permission and a police escort. And this Dadi, normally any Dadi, they will keep the body for 3 days, at least for the whole family to come and pay respects. This was like super fast, just like Dadi. Quick, 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 quick. Move on, don't look back. And we brought her to Pandav Bhavan. Pandav Bhavan was the only place we took the body out, in front of the Tower of Peace, Baba's room. In Gyan Sarovar, they didn't even take the body out of the van. And then we got to Shantivan, brought it to Shakti Bhavan, only 40 seniors allowed, quick garland, quick out to the cremation, quick cremation. By 12:30 India time that morning, Dadi was cremated and gone. And you know what the total expense for her funeral was? 6,000 rupees. She always used to say to us, I don't want money spent on my funeral. And it was for the sandalwood garlands. Because one of Dadi's principles, Meera Ben has just shared many, but one of her principles was economy. Eknami and economy. And Dadi would not want any extra expense on her. And that's why I said, I am sure she engineered that lockdown. Because imagine she's left the body and the whole world would buy tickets to come to Madhuban, and then that would be in her account. So she made sure, lockdown, nobody can come. You stay in your service places, do tapasya. And it was typically Dadi's, her life principles, even drama, because she remained so faithful to her principle of economy, drama helped her fulfill that principle even when she moved on. So it was
no garland.
Nothing, no fanfare, nothing. Simple, straight, quick. Because this was Dadi's nature. Dadi never stopped and looked back. Whether we are coming or not, we are carrying the suitcases, no. Once she goes, she goes. We are running with the suitcases. It was part of her whole thing. No fuss about her. And so I really appreciated that. The way she lived her life was the way she passed away.
Hansaben used to tell us one day, Dadi told her, right, all the things that how when she leaves the body, this is how it should happen.
Yeah.
So exactly the same thing happened. Nobody knew that lockdown would come. Yeah.
So an angel flew away.
Yeah.
But she's still around, huh?
Yeah.
She doesn't need a body to serve.
Yeah.
Dadi, when in her last years, sometimes when of course the body wasn't well, not like she was in the consciousness she's not well, but she would sleep a lot like a baby. And sometimes like she would wake up 2:00 in the morning, ask Hansaben to make hot halva. Yeah, so Hansaben would make hot halva to feed her. And then she would go back to sleep, then she would wake up, have half an hour in Baba's room, Amrit Vela, then go back to sleep. And then one time, Hansaben tried to wake her up 7:00 for Murli. And she said, leave me. I'm on tour for service. Leave me. Baba is taking me around on tour for service. Everything was service for her. Sleep, food, interaction. Her life was a walking, talking mobile service station. There was no such thing as personal space, personal time. Nothing private in Dadi's life.
Yeah, okay, I think a wonderful challenge of experience. Don't you think so? But it's just, so we just put our hands together. Thank the two panelists. Okay, and also thank you those are in Zoom. They're watching, I think Singaporeans are there. They're watching from everywhere. Okay, with that, so we have magic song now, Meera?
So actually, Dadi's wish is that we should follow Baba at every step and glorify Baba's name. So ancestor souls are waiting in the subtle region for us to join them, becoming equal to Baba. So in this last meditation, let us all think about at least one step. If not follow Baba, follow Dadi. If you follow Dadi, you are definitely going to become Bapsaman. Because Dadi became Bapsaman, so you will also become. So what one speciality that you are going to follow in from Dadi's legacy, so that seeing us, son shows father, daughter shows mother, so we are the progeny of Dadi, people can recognize through our legacy. So think about one speciality of Dadi she took from Baba to follow, so that we are able to come close to all the ancestor souls and to close to Baba. Okay? So think about one. One is enough. That can cover many others automatically. Okay? Thank you and have a blissful night. Invoking ancestor souls, thanking them for all the sustenance. They have not gone. They are waiting for us. They are in transit. We have to join them, and then we all go together to Parandam. They cannot go without us, right? So we have to join them. Om Shanti.
Take up us to beyond the stars. We cherish you always in our hearts. No matter what, we can't be apart. We feel you still here in every heart, in every heart. शत शत नमन है आपको दादी, जान से प्यारी जान की दादी, ओ प्यारी दादी।